everybody, welcome back. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad you're here because it tells me that the stuff that you watched before, you've been somewhat interested in. Now you want to see what's next. Thank you for that. I want to talk to you today a little bit about a fundamental issue in psychology and personality development and human development, actually, and which is or can be the cornerstone of all social and individual ails. So let's start talking about narcissism. All right, people, we're all born, right? Come out bundles of just sensation, whatever, and need. And we need people to take care of us, right? Feed us, care for us, keep us warm, keep us healthy. That's survival. And we do a lot, by the way, to get there. We coo, we bat our eyes, we look cute and adorable. We manipulate the hell out of the world to meet our needs at the very start of our life. And to some extent, that continues throughout our life, right? When we have facial expressions, we are enticing people to have similar facial expressions, for them to empathize. When we use words, we're trying to encourage them to feel a certain way, to think a certain way, to behave a certain way. So all interactions are social dance of manipulation. And most of the time, that manipulation has to do with meeting our needs. That's what narcissism is, right? It's just meeting our needs. But there's a point at which narcissism can become pathological. So there's healthy narcissism and pathological narcissism. I'm going to talk about healthy narcissism first, and then I'm going to kind of move you to the direction of pathological narcissism and kind of demonstrate to you, at least propose the hypothesis that all social and human ail is on the basis of that particular kind of pathology. Now, when we take every action to meet our needs, by doing so, inevitably, we cause some sort of distress or stress on the world around us. If you're eating food, the food you eat is not available for anybody else anymore. That may cause stress. When you breathe, that air is not available to anybody else anymore. That might cause stress. So it is important for us to understand that our actions for survival are, by definition, somewhat competitive. Not necessarily competitive the way the West thinks of competition, that one person loses, one person wins, but there is this sort of rush to get what we need in order to survive. So let's not extinguish or diminish the psychological need for survival or physical need for survival. But when does that become pathological? Religions have called it various things. They've called it gluttony, various sin forms, gluttony, greed, and all that stuff. But what's really important at the center of it is that when you meet your needs, two questions have to be asked. Are you being enhanced in any way? Beyond survival, are you being enhanced in any way? Is the food you're eating just making you live? Or does it make you healthy? Or does it help you stay healthy? Is the water you drink just making you sort of survive? Or does it refresh and decontaminate you, detox you as it comes out? So those are the kinds of basic questions to ask. But more importantly, is what you're doing also enhancing the world around you in some way? Does it benefit the world around you? If the answer is yes to both, then you have healthy, appropriate narcissism that meets your survival needs and enhances you as well. But there's a place where that can go wrong. When you meet your survival and self-enhancement needs in such a way that it diminishes the world around you, that it damages it somehow, or it takes away from it, then you've entered into the pathological narcissism. Narcissism which is so self-concerned that it loses its ability to expand beyond itself and see the needs and the care of others. That kind of narcissism is the cornerstone of all of our problems. Social and individual. Let me start with individual first. Let's say you're depressed and anxious. If you're depressed and anxious, you're not going to be happy with me right now. Because when you're depressed and anxious, you're extremely narcissistic. It doesn't feel it, does it? When you're depressed, you're down on yourself a lot. When you're anxious, you're fearing about stuff inside. You certainly don't feel selfish. But in reality, think about what depression is. The sentences that go through your mind when you're depressed is all about you. You are the worst person in the world. You're the burden on everybody. You should be ashamed of yourself. You. It's all about these awful things that are about you. Similarly, when you're anxious about you, right? It's your survival that's at risk. Or if you have social anxiety, people are looking at you. That one zit on your nose is the most important thing in the entire party of 100. Or on the highway, every car is going to be coming at you. That bee out there is really after you, coming to sting you because, you're that important, as opposed to the flowers it could suck up the syrup from. So, in some ways, depression and anxiety are narcissistic ways of being. Terrible ways of narcissism, but they are nevertheless narcissistic. In similar ways, relationships problems, if you give me one relationship problem, I'll give you at least one member who's very narcissistic, if not both, in that relationship. Any individual process you think about that is troubling, that is disturbing, is ultimately narcissistic at its core. Similarly, world problems, I don't have to tell you, you've been through it and are going through it now. Vulture capitalism is the most narcissistic way a society can behave. And not just a society, a small group of society in a society, tiny group, can devastate the entire society by their greedy actions, by their individual needs. That is no longer meeting your needs, by the way. That is meeting your needs, expanding yourself at the expense of the world around you. So definition of narcissism, pathological, is when you meet your needs, you exceed your needs, and in the process of doing that, you do so with very little care to none about the world around you. Next time you're feeling upset about something, ask yourself, am I being narcissistic right now? Can I let go of this and not focus on myself so much and move away from it? Ask yourself, how does this enhance me? How does this help me be a better person? Ask yourself, how does this enhance me as a human? How does what I'm feeling enhance the world around me? And once you find the answer to that, bet you anything, you'll move away from the feelings that are associated with you that are negative. Begin to kind of break that down and expand beyond yourself. Hey, thanks for watching. Please click like if you like the video. If you don't, comment on it. I would love to hear your ideas about it. And invite your friends to join and subscribe so you know what videos are coming up next. Speaking of next videos, next one is about magic mushrooms. I'm going to teach you about how the brain works and how magic mushrooms affect it and why it's become such an interesting potential treatment for depression. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next time.